Game time, we diving deep. From the stairs to the plays, no time for sleep. Below the surface, we're working, we set the scene. Who's your host? Scott Levine. Below the surface.
Wow, that montage got me hyped for the NFL, guys. Didn't it get you going? Welcome back for the second episode of Below the Surface. This is where stats meet strategy. I'm Scott, your host, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, the fantasy football draft. In this episode today, guys, I'm going to be breaking down draft strategies, running back builds, my secret weapon, which is a more popular strategy nowadays, and it's used oftenly for good reason, tier-based drafting, and then we're going to talk to you about 4 teams that I'm higher on that I think you should be drafting this season. And then, guys, I have something excited planned for the end of the episode. We're going to hop into a mock draft and apply all these things that I'm teaching in real time, so stay tuned, please. And now I want to get right into it. So let's dive in. I'm going to first want to reiterate from our first episode. Shout out to all the OG viewers from episode 1 and all the newcomers. Appreciate you guys tuning in for this episode. I'm going to, what I want to quickly recap from that first episode is always start with your league format, whether it's half PPR, full PPR, tight end premium, whatever site you're on, if you're doing best ball, dynasty, redraft, just understanding your formats and these little scoring tweaks make a huge difference in how you want to build out your roster. So remember, glance through your settings and make sure you understand your scoring format and roster construction for the league. So speaking of that, for today's mock, we're actually going to be going into a 12-man full PPR draft and no unique bonuses. We'll go maybe like 10 to 12 rounds. We'll see how it is. And then I'm going to have a random draft pick, randomizer pick for where we're going to select this draft. And we'll figure out together and apply those strategies we learned today. And with that being said, guys, let's get into the RB strategies. Now that we've officially recapped our league format, we want to talk about how this strategy, how you attack the running back position, is affects your entire philosophy for the entire draft. So let's get into 4 common running back builds. I think I'm going to start with the most controversial one: 0 RB. What that means is you're waiting on running backs till the later rounds, and you're fading the position early. You're taking guys, rookies. You're going to take guys that are in ambiguous backfields, meaning they have it's more up in the air for which running back's going to take the full-time role, and we're going to follow those closely throughout camp and see who overtakes during out the starting spot throughout the year. Yeah, it's you're typically waiting till like round 7 or 8 to draft your first running back, and then you're taking guys like, I would say, maybe a Tajay Spears, who it has a little bit more of that upside if anything happens to Tony Pollard, and he might get a big boost with the first overall pick, Cam Ward, being drafted there. The offense might overperform expectations, or someone like Marshawn Lloyd, who we never got to see really last year in Green Bay due to injuries. And then when he did come back, he got appendicitis, and then he just really didn't get to see the field, so we don't really know how he looks on the field. And if anything happens to Josh Jacobs, he's got a lot of contingent upside. So these 0 RB drafters definitely rely on injury a bit. And then you want to draft for like rookies and, like I said, those backfields that are more uncertain. The next strategy, it's one of my personal favorites. None of these strategies like you want to box yourselves in with, though, but this one is the hero RB. The hero RB is when you take one stud running back really early, and you kind of ignore the position to take high end players at other important spots like elite quarterback or elite tight end or both, and then just like stack up a bunch of wide receivers and take your RB2 late. The reason I say this is my personal favorite is because I feel most confident in myself with one strong RB anchoring down my team, and then I think I can find in redraft leagues. I think I can find on the waiver wires or via trade RB2 because they are, I think, one of the lesser valuable spots in all of fantasy. The next one is kind of more of a focus towards best ball, but it still applies to redraft. It's the fragile RB build. This is when you take 2 to 3 running backs within your first 5 rounds. The first 5 of your picks are running backs, and then you stop at a fourth running. You only take 4 total on your roster, and this is like you're expecting your guy to hit their 90th percentile outcome with this build because you're only taking a few of the running backs. And you're just going all in and expecting like no injuries. It's not a strategy you should do always, but for me in best ball last year, it was actually one of my more advancing rosters. Was this build of 4 running backs, taking like 2 to 3 really strong ones early, and then only taking a 4 total. And then the last one is probably the most commonly known one. It's the heavy RB, the classic double tap, where you take RB in the first 2 rounds and just anchor your team through that position. It's great for beginner leagues, I would say, or if the board falls right. I actually employed this strategy last year because I liked the mid-round wide receivers I was getting in my practice mocks and best ball leagues that I did. I felt that the wide receiver value was strong in those rounds 3 through 7 or so. There's the final non-positional build, which is called the flex, where it can be multitude of positions, sometimes even a tight end, but it's usually just running back and wide receiver. And when it comes to the flex position, I usually prefer to start a wide receiver in the flex spot because there are more playable wide receivers in the game of football. Typically, a team will have 2 wide receivers on the field and sometimes even 3 wide receivers on the field. And in some offenses, run more 3 wide receiver sets than others. So that just like opens up more possibilities, especially in PPR leagues for these guys who get those high volume targets. And there's only a certain amount of starting running backs, and not even all starting running backs are valuable for fantasy. But there are certain teams that have 2 running backs that are valuable as well. But when it just in general, there are more wide receivers that will be playable than running backs. And so that's why I like to typically have a wide receiver in my flex. But anyway, despite that, it's not like a hard rule, guys. If you got like a third running back that you love for the flex, like that's fine. Don't like freak out. It's always about the value. Like I said, don't box yourself in. The tier based drafting is what I want to get into next. It's definitely more talked about now, which is great, and it's a very helpful tool. It's one of the most powerful tools in all of drafting, I would say, because it's not just about using the ADP. It's about finding value pockets, and sometimes you're going to want to reach, or sometimes you're going to use the ADP to your advantage. But having those tiers really helps make those picks easier and not make you panic or get too stressed in the moment, because it is a timed clock and it can feel stressful at times. I've been there where I got sniped and I didn't know who I wanted to take exactly. But so for example, say you started your team with a heavy RB build and you started 2 running backs earlier and you're really hoping that you can get a great wide receiver in the third round, one that you really like, but 4 of them go right before your pick. What I would say to that is just is the next wide receiver that's on the board, is he in say he's a tier 4 player for you? Look at like your other tiers and see, oh, maybe there's a tier 2 running back, a tier 2 tight end, a tier 1 quarterback maybe is still available. Take the best value there. Early rounds you don't want to reach as much. Whether you're looking at a top 50 pick or so, like it's less strong advice from me to reach, but like after the top 100 picks, like I don't mind like big reaches as much. Like that's sometimes ADP is just you're way higher on a player, and you can be you want to take the players you like, and you don't want to miss out because you have to wait like 15 picks till your next pick. So in the later rounds, it's definitely more about being flexible and more willing to take on risk. Remember, we want to build our team for a second half champion, so we don't always need all players that are ready to perform immediately well for us. And now, lastly, before we get into our mock draft, finally, guys, I want to get in some team deep dives. This is where I really want to go below the surface with you guys and do deep dive on these 4 NFL teams. The first team I'm looking to talk about, I'm so excited to finally get to break down this team. It was so fun researching this team. And that is the Jacksonville Jaguars, guys. So why am I so excited about the Jaguars? The Jaguars had a major shift this offseason. They fired their GM, they fired their head coach, offensive coordinator, and I think their defensive coordinator as well. And they just made a major shift towards youth. The whole coaching, front office, roster, just very youth movement going on in Jacksonville, which I love to see personally. And really investing in their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. So they let go of Evan Ingram this offseason. They let go of Christian Kirk, Mitch Morse, and Brandon Scherf. Like I said, they fired their head coach. That was Doug Peterson. He was okay the last few years, and I really did not like their offensive coordinator, Press Taylor, at all, so I'm very glad to see him go. Now the GM, he's from the Rams, and he's actually the youngest current GM in the league right now. And he immediately came in and wanted to make a splash and his impact. And like I said, in free agency, he let go of some of those vets that had been in the team for a little bit. And then now he, in the draft, traded up from pick 5 to pick 2, from pick 5 to pick 2, giving up an extra first and taking what I think is a generational player in Travis Hunter, guys. He's a wide receiver cornerback hybrid out of Colorado, and he just won the Heisman, and I think well deserved. Even though Ashton Genty was tremendous, both would have been deserving. But Travis Hunter, what he did has literally never been seen before. So I'm very excited to see what he can add to this offense. They also drafted 2 running backs, Bashal Tune, who we covered a little bit in our first episode, the speedster, who ran a 4.3 40 at the combine. But his only concern really is he's got a little bit of ball security issues, and so maybe he can work on that this offseason. We'll keep an eye on how he fits into this running back room. They also drafted LaQuint Allen out of Syracuse, who's a pass catching specialist and a good player in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see how their plans are, especially with having Travis Etienne, their first round pick from a few years ago, and Tank Bigsby, who actually had a great year and outproduced Etienne last year because Etienne got hurt and never really looked right. So with that, they kept that same youth movement. They hire as the head coach Liam Cohen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was their offensive coordinator last year. And he also had been with the Rams, and he coached in college at Kentucky for a little bit as well. Liam Cohen, he's 39 years old. He's so innovative, man. I love what he did to that Buccaneers offense last year. I really liked Dave Canales, and I was like, oh, how is Liam Cohen going to stack up? And he brought such a unique style of play calling with his 2 running back sets, his pony sets that he used with Rashad White and Bucky Irving, and also with these new running backs, you definitely have to keep in mind, he had Bucky Irving, a 4th round pick, and made him into what seemed like a superstar last year, and now he adds his own 2 sets of running backs that in the draft. They take additional 2 players, so you're really curious to see what this backfield turns into. And then in addition to that, they keep the youth movement going again with their offensive coordinator hire, who is still just 29 years old. That's Grant Udinsky. Unbelievable. 29-year-old man. He came out of he started with Matt Rule in Baylor and followed him to the NFL. And then from his first stint in Carolina, he moves to Minnesota and works under Kevin O'Connell as the passing game coordinator and the quarterback's coach, I think. He was just the quarterback's coach, and then he continually just gets promoted every year. And last year, I think he was the assistant offensive coordinator, and now he gets another promotion to the Jaguars as the offensive coordinator. And I think this guy is just a football savant, and I really can't wait to see what him and Liam Cohen are able to come up with for this offense. So what is the fantasy angle for all this, guys? Well, two players I really want to plant a flag on that I'm higher on than most, I would say, analysts are Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas, and just those two, the ability to stack them, I think is a great strategy in drafts. Trevor Lawrence, he's a first overall pick for the Jaguars back in 2021, I believe it was. And then he also was a national champion at Clemson, a number one overall number one high school prospect. He's had an illustrious career prior to the NFL, where he's finally faced some struggles, and then he also had a few injuries that he'd never had prior in his career. And I'm expecting a big bounce back from Trevor Lawrence this year. I think that he has 30 touchdown upside. We saw what Liam Cohen did for Baker Mayfield, 72% accuracy, 41 touchdowns last year, and that was both career highs for Baker. And I just am really excited to see Trevor Lawrence take the next step, especially with the addition of Travis Hunter now. They brought in De'Ami Brown. They brought in these two extra running backs. They have Tank Bigsby. They have Travis Etienne. Their O-line, it's all right. It's not like my favorite unit in the league, but I like Anton Harrison. He's tremendous. He's going to be an all-pro one day. And then, Brian Thomas. I haven't really mentioned his name much, and that's not by any hate towards him. He's actually he's also one of my flag planters for this year. Brian Thomas Jr., guys, know the name. He really broke out onto the scene last year in the second half of the year. He finished wide receiver 4, I believe, in PPR leagues, and he is a big-bodied wide receiver at LSU. Those LSU guys are just wide receiver. You think of the guys in the league now, that Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, all LSU superstars, and now NFL superstars. And so, he's got blazing speed. He's like 4.3 40 at 6'3", 220, and I really think he's got wide receiver 1 capability in his outcomes this year for fantasy. So if you want to pair those two up at some point in the draft, Trevor Lawrence goes typically late, and he's an easy quarterback to click. I just really think that they're going to take the offense to new heights and grow their team and really become an elite offense in this league. And I really think that they're an offense you should look to target in your fantasy football drafts. Let's just jump right into the next team that I'm targeting. That's the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins made major moves recently. They just made a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers, trading away Jonnu Smith, their tight end, who broke out for them in 2024 with like a 20% target share and really came on. And then they also got rid of Jalen Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick, bringing back Minkah, who is a player they drafted originally, and parting ways with Jalen Ramsey to the Steelers. Jalen Ramsey, he's still a really great player, and we all know the name. He'll be exciting for the Steelers to add, but I actually really do like getting Minkah in this trade. The Dolphins' defense is kind of questionable regardless, though. Their secondary is a little bit shaky, man. It's Minkah and not much else. Kader Kohu and Storm Doug. I like Kohu a bit, but it's just questionable. So the Miami Dolphins are definitely going to need to be putting up points this year. And with the vacated targets of Jonnu, I really like that for the pass catchers. And who did they replace Jonnu with? They actually made a deal with my New York Giants, trading for music superstar had Darren Waller coming out of retirement, getting out of the stew, back on the field. He said there was 2 people he would listen to a call if they wanted him to play, and Frank Smith from the Dolphins, it was one of the people that he would listen to, and now he's back in the league, guys. So They still have Tyreek Hill getting healthy after his wrist surgery, and they've been hyping up Jalen Waddle this offseason. So with that being said, let's get into the fantasy angle. I do my own projections. I mentioned in episode 1, and a guy I was already high on before the Jonnu trade even happened, but now with Jonnu gone, his floor is even safer, and even his reception floor is even higher. And that's Devon Achane, their running back. He was a running back out of Texas A&M who I was really high on. I actually drafted him in the second round of Dynasty in my league. We have an 8-man Dynasty league, so it's there's only 8 picks in the draft, but it's a close knit group, and I'd rather have players that are invested than too many players, But so I got Achane on my team, and he's just been tremendous. And this year, I'm super high on him. He's actually projected as my RB3 in my own projections, and he just got such a safe receiving floor. And this offense could easily rely on him for those dump offs again. But in addition to that, there's Tyreek Hill that I bumped up in my projections, and same with Jalen Waddle after this trade happened. And I really think this opens up to go back to their previous offensive philosophy, running through the wide receivers like they did in the past. And although they picked up Darren Waller, I'm not really expecting too much out of him. I do really like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill again, and they definitely have a higher ceiling again. And even Tua is a late round guy. If he's able to stay healthy, I'm expecting a big year from him as well. The defense is really going to make them need to pass the ball a lot, but we always have to worry about the Dolphins in the cold weather games and such. So yeah, that's the Dolphins, and target that offense, guys. It's always a fun offense for fantasy. The next offense I want to talk about is the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh baby, big changes in Cincy. They fire their longtime defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, and they replaced him with Al Golden, who's fresh off the Burrells Award at Notre Dame. They had a great season at Notre Dame, for those of you who like college ball. Riley Leonard taking them pretty far, and that defense, of course. Golden has had a long history of coaching, and he's been in the league, but this is his first ever NFL defensive coordinator position, so he's got a big undertaking this year. Under Anarumo, the last 2 years, the defense ranked bottom 6 in 2023 and bottom 12 in 2024 per PFF, and they gave up top 5 in points last year. It was absurd. They had 34. They had 5 or 6 games where they gave up 34 plus points. It was actually crazy. They could have had so many more wins, and then they had that game last year against the Patriots week 1 where they blew it, and they're just a team that kind of starts slow. So we'll see this year. But this team is a known cheap roster or cheap franchise under Mike Brown, but they actually finally signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to long-term deals. So coming into this offseason, this offense should actually have a chance to get rolling and get a little bit of continuity rolling into week 1. So hopefully the offense is clicking at least. But I need to talk about the defense for this team. Trey Hendrickson, with 35 sacks over the last 2 seasons, remains completely unsigned. And then their rookie pick, Shamar Stewart, they added weird contract language to his contract, adding some voidable years if he gets hurt or if he gets suspended, which hadn't been any Bengals rookie players recently. Like Amarius Mims out of Georgia didn't have to have any of that, and I think their other rookie the year before, maybe I'm blanking on who, Lewis Cine maybe, didn't have that language as well. But yeah, that's classic Mike Brown. As we said, he's a cheap owner, and I mean he's not the first guy to try and include this, but I'm with Shamar Stewart on this and just try and we'll see where that falls out in camp. But the fantasy angle out of all this, guys, the defense will likely struggle again despite the coordinator change, and I do like Golden as a switch up from Anarumo, but I think this defense is going to struggle again, and that's going to lead to some high-scoring games. Also, teams, when they play the Bengals, tend to play aggressively against them because they have such an elite wide receiver talents and high-potent offense with Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, and that typically fuels more high-scoring games. So the guy I want to really plant my flag on from this Bengals offense is Chase Brown, guys. Chase Brown is going typically in round 2 or round 3, late round 2, early round 3. And he last year, weeks 9 through 17, was on a 94 target pace. His receiving upside is so legit. He is Chase Brown. He comes from Illinois. That's where he went to college, and he showed there in his 5th year as a senior that he could handle a huge workload. He had like about 300 touches, over 300 touches that final year that he worked there. And then last year when Zach Moss came into the year as this full-time starter, and he was like working in, and then he continued to work in and gain more and more role as the year went on. And then Zach Moss gets hurt, and they just completely trusted him. They even signed Khalil Herbert and continued to just choose Chase Brown consistently over him. He was always on the field for them, and I love him this year. I have him as a top 6 running back in my projections, and I think that you should take him at ADP or reach on him even. He's a guy I think worth grabbing. So yeah, the Bengals, great offense, target players in this offense this year, and grab as many guys as you want from this offense. I think they're all going to pay off for fantasy value. The last team that I want to get into before we finally get to our mock draft, guys, the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions had a busy offseason as well. We all know about Ben Johnson, the star offense coordinator, and then they also lost defense coordinator Aaron Glenn. Ben Johnson heads to Chicago, and Aaron Glenn heads to New York, the other team in New York, the Jets. And plus, all-pro center Frank Ragnow retired. He's a tremendous player, and he's going to be a loss to that O-line. But they do have a good unit still regardless. But yeah, everybody feels this is a brain draw. Everybody feels this is a brain dump, and they're due for regression. And that's under Ben Johnson, they ranked top 3 in points scored in 2023, and PFF had them number 2 offense back-to-back years under Ben Johnson. But some regression is going to be expected after that. I get it. Regardless, though, this is definitely still a fantasy-friendly offense. In Jared Goff's career alone, if he's playing 16 games, he's hit 4,400 yards every single time he's done that. So if we can get a healthy Goff to make it through the whole year, he's going to throw for a good bit of yards, guys. And they despite them surprisingly having a lot of high drafted players, this offense is still kind of highly concentrated. Targets will definitely go to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jameson Williams. And then they got Sam Laporta, who took a little bit of a step back last year with Jameson emerging, but he will get targets as well. And then you have David Montgomery, who I think could take the biggest hit this year from the loss of Ben Johnson, and maybe Gibbs just taking another jump because what he showed down the stretch for them, and he just looked like it was hard to take him off the field. David Montgomery's still a good player, and he's got that touchdown upside and goal line vulturing upside where he can just stay relevant for your team just based on one touchdown. But this offense is still an offense despite losing a little players, and I did adjust my rankings a bit. I would for them for these. They felt a little bit too high based on losing all those important pieces, but I'm still in on all these pieces. They're a great offense to target, and also their bring back with Vikings in Week 17 in the finals. I love that matchup. I think that could be a super high scoring game for a finals matchup. But for fantasy, last few years, Amon-Ra, he's been back-to-back wide receiver 3 finishes in full PPR. Gibbs is looking like a PPR monster again. But the guy that I'm really going to narrow in on today and plant my flag on is Jameson Williams. Now, Jameson Williams, he's a guy who really had a weird start to his career. He was a guy coming out of Ohio State, expected to be drafted very high, and he went pick 11 overall to the Detroit Lions, but he had to miss time his rookie year due to coming off an injury that he had in one of his final. I think it was his final Ohio State game. He got hurt, And then he also, his second year, gets a gambling suspension when people think, oh, he's finally ready to come in and make an impact. But he was still a little immature, and he got that gambling suspension. And then he also last year had a PED suspension, which had to make him miss 2 weeks during the year last year. And despite that happening, he still broke out. He started the year on fire. He had 75 plus yards in 4 of his first 5 games, and then another 4 games of over 75 yards from weeks 9 through 16. That also included 3 games over 120 yards. And in his entire football career with the Lions, he's averaging 16.8 yards per catch over 142 career targets. I just want you to think about that. 16.8 yards per catch. Like, we think of George Pickens as like a deep play threat, like, who's unbelievable at it, and he's like at 15.6 yards per catch. But yeah, and not only that, this offseason, this offense, this coaching staff continually talks up Jameson Williams. New OC and returning face, actually, John Morton, their new offensive coordinator. He had been there before, so he's somewhat familiar with this offense and this coaching staff. He said he didn't want to make too many changes from last year, which makes sense because obviously the offense was, like I said, tremendous, top 2 ranked by PFF. And they continually talk up Jameson Williams, and he's just a guy whose role has grown and grown with this offense, and he gets reverses and rushes and end arounds and stuff like that. And he's just involved in so many different unique ways for this offense, and they just have so many good players that teams have to watch out for, that he is able to take the top off a lot of defense, and he just adds such a unique element for this team. I love him as a mid-round swing, and like the early to late 4th, even early 5th he goes sometimes. I just love his value this year, and the Lions are definitely an offense I'm going to be buying into if I can. So that's the 4 teams that we got to cover today, guys. And with that being said, we'll be right back with part 2 of this episode, where I'm going to be applying all of this in a live mock draft, and I'm going to show you guys how to build a team using these strategies in real time. So stay tuned, everyone. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is part 2, the mock draft. You just saw the randomizer select us pick 12. So here we are. Let's get it started, guys. All right, here it goes. Jamar Chase, expected number 1 overall pick, especially in a full PPR setting. And then we got Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra, Bijan Robinson, my RB1 in the class this year, or in fantasy. Jahmyr Gibbs, Malik Neighbors, Giants superstar. Shout out the Giants. That's my team. And then we got CeeDee Lamb, Puka, Genti, Nico Collins, and we're on the clock, everyone. And this is so beautiful. This is what I was dreaming for. We get Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jacksonville Jaguars to fall all the way to pick 12. And then we get to pair him up with Devon Achane, both from teams we said we were looking to target, that being the Jaguars and the Dolphins. Shout out them. And then after that goes Brock Bowers, McCaffrey, Josh Allen, A.J. Brown, Drake London, Derrick Henry, Bucky Irving, Ladd McConkey, Jacobs, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Trey McBride. All right, we're back on the clock, everyone. So what I'm really thinking here is, did anyone fall farther than I expected them to fall? Is there any big values? There's 3 quarterbacks gone, which I kind of expected. Josh Allen went a little high, but it's still really early in the draft cycle, and these ADPs are subject to change. Chase Brown was a guy who I would have loved to have fallen for me. I honestly think that he should be drafted ahead of, I personally think he's in the tier with the Derrick Henrys, Christian McCaffrey tier above all these guys. I've yet to stat out Jonathan Taylor, but he's also a guy I would be
probably pretty high on. With this pick, I'm gonna get a little spicy here and take me some Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, and he is looking very healthy right now. That's what all the reports are, and plus his legal status is not pushed off um until 2026. And then the next pick I'm going to make is DJ Moore. DJ Moore had a little bit of an underwhelming year. Shane Waldron kind of was their OC and got fired. Same with Matt Eberflus, and Shane Waldron has a little bit of a bad rap these last few years. So I'm hoping now with the addition of Ben Johnson to spice up the Chicago Bears passing attack and just really be more creative and unlock Caleb in a different way than uh, other coaches have. Wow, guys, this is what we're talking about. This is unbelievable. I don't think I've seen this in a mock before. Jamison Williams falls all the way to the back half of the 5th round. I thought he was I thought he was an earlier pick than that, but we're gonna take that value nonetheless. And then I'm thinking of taking Trevor Lawrence this draft, but I'm also deciding between Patrick Mahomes now and Travis Hunter is cool here. Chris Olave, I really like. Jalen Waddle really sticks out. I get a mini stack there as well. I'm honestly gonna take Jalen Waddle here. I like the and see, this team is very wide receiver heavy now. I have 4 wide receivers through 5 rounds, so I probably don't need to take another wide receiver until later. We're gonna need to look at some quarterbacks. Guys, also in your draft, it's important to queue some players. I haven't been doing it really right now but this is how you queue. You can just click on these and add people, and they add to your queue, and then you know like how many guys you have. You can see how many guys you want in your queue and order them the way you'd like. So right here, we're back on the clock, and we definitely need at least something to help us out here. Running back position, anything stands out. Honestly, I'm not really loving this pick. Let's see if there's some ADP guys like Jawan. Like, that's crazy value. The sleeper ADP is kind of tripping me up. I could have got so many elite round values. But the running back clearly went early. So let's just let's draft for upside here. And take I'm honestly going to take another receiver here in Brandon Ayuk because we have so many strong receivers. He has time to come on strong for us, and I think he can still be a very valuable player. And that also is a bring back with the Chicago Bears. Yeah, we also have DJ Moore in week 17. That's a good game. I kind of want to take a quarterback here, but none of these guys are really standing out. Maybe Caleb and we can wait on, or and Trevor, like I said, I really like. So those are the guys we can wait on. Any running backs are standing out here. I do have a line. I kind of wouldn't be. Aaron Jones did go. I kind of wouldn't be opposed to what pick is this? This is a little high for him, but Jordan Mason. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with Tyrone Tracy. My New York Giant. He was great last year, and we drafted Cam Scatterbo, who might be a help to him and wear down the defense, kind of like a Jahmyr Gibbs, Monty Light type of deal. I'm still a little high on him, so we'll see that. And then Josh Downs, that's a good pick. He's a guy I kind of like. I feel like I gotta take him. How many receivers? I already have so many receivers. It's okay. We have 2 running backs. We need a quarterback. Now would be the time. Do we reach? I like Justin Fields a lot too. Yeah, we could wait on quarterbacks according to ADP. I'm not really worried. We should take a tight end here probably. I do like Dalton Kincaid this year. Colson Lovely, not bad. But I just feel like more comfortable with Kincaid this year, I think. I'm going to go with him. And then we got another pick. Let's see what I'm considering here. Let's look at our roster. How do we pull that up? It's just right here, but here it is. This is what I wanted to see. We got Devon Achane, Tyrone Tracy in the starters, and then Brian Thomas, Rashee Rice, Dalton Kincaid, DJ Moore. We do need a quarterback, but we already know we want to. We actually just want to take our quarterback here. Yeah, we'll just take him. Screw it. We'll take 2 quarterbacks here, I think. We'll get Trevor on the wrap, maybe. Or we'll take Trevor. Oh, yeah, we'll take Justin Fields here and take Trevor on the wrap. I think we'll get him. And this is only a bench with... This only has a bench for 2 players, I believe. So you would have a deeper bench than this, but I just wanted to go through a quick mock, and they're drafting kickers and defenses. I personally, if you're in a kicker and defense league, wait till the last rounds to draft them, or literally wait till the season starts and pick them up and keep guys on waivers just in case someone gets hurt in the time period that between your draft. So yeah, we're gonna grab Trevor as well to pair him up, and then that's a beautiful team, ladies and gentlemen. What a roster. All right, guys. Let's just run through it real quick. We got Justin Fields at the quarterback, Achane and Tracy, Brian Thomas, Rashee Rice. We got Dalton Kincaid, DJ Moore. We got Jamison Williams, Jalen Waddle, Brandon Ayuk, and Trevor Lawrence on the bench. Normally, I don't advocate for a 2 quarterback strategy, but last 2 rounds, I like drafting quarterbacks with rushing upside, which Justin Fields unlocks, and then the stack for Brian Thomas in case Justin Fields is a little more inconsistent this year in the Jets offense. Other than that, guys, this was a blast to do with you guys, and I really hope you learned something and found my tips helpful. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the watchers always, and peace out.
It's game time. We diving deep from the stats to the play. No time for sleep. Below the surface, we're working. We set the scene. Who's your host? Scott Levine. Below the surface, we break it down with a master plan. But stats meet strategy. That's where I stand. Cold with the numbers, sharp and clean, hit like a blitz. Show you what it is, below the surface.